Second Uniroyal World Junior Curling Championship. The finest under 21-year-old curlers in 10 nations are here to shoot for the title that's a junior version of the silver broom. Sweden won the inaugural at East York, Ontario in 1975, the year an international bonspiel became a fully sanctioned World Junior Championship. Now it's to be held in the birthplace of curling, in Scotland, and at Aviemore, a superb $6 million recreation complex in the Highlands. For 6 days, the juniors will test each other in a preliminary round robin aiming for 4 playoff positions. Then will come the climax, the semifinals, and the world final for the Uniroyal trophy. Uniroyal coordinator Bob Sutherland introduced the officials as the opening ceremony spotlighted Claude Allard and John Stewart of Uniroyal, Colin Campbell of the International Curling Federation, David Duncan of the Royal Caledonian Curling Club, and George Grant and Dennis South of the Aviemore Organizing Committee. Then Sir Donald Cameron invited defending champion Jan Ullsten to unfurl the Uniroyal banner to signal the start of the championship. Sir Donald, the Lord Lieutenant of Inverness Shire, delivered the first stone. Sandy Russell and former world champion Chuck Hay tried to use their brushes. And David Duncan is happy with the end result. The ceremony's over, it's into the round robin action. The team, with nowhere to go but up, hailed from Cortina d'Ampezzo in Italy. Massimo Alvera failed to win a game at East York in '75. This year there was obvious improvement, as Alvera made it close in losing 6-5 to the United States, and he carried France to an extra end. But the final tally still was 0-9, and last place for Italy. Tommy Scherna of Denmark scored his only victory at the expense of Italy, cracking a 4 on the opening end and coasting from there to win it 11-3. Against the other countries, the Danes couldn't duplicate that performance. They lost to the United States 8-3, and their losing margins were similar throughout the round robin. The team from Copenhagen is young, all of them just 18, so perhaps like Alvera, they'll be back competing in a future Uniroyal. Curling is relatively new in Denmark with minimal facilities, and their curlers are making commendable progress. And later in '76, there was something to really point it out. A Danish team scored an unprecedented victory over Canada in the silver broom. The Swiss team at Aviemore came from Schaffhausen, a community about 20 kilometers out of Zurich. Jean-Claude Stettler and his mates had their finest hour against Canada. They jumped in front 5-1 and still were leading 7-5 after 9 ends, only to give up a heartbreaking 3 for an 8-7 defeat. The foursome from Switzerland did register wins over Denmark, Italy, and France, and had a record of 3-6. Hans-Dieter Kiesel of West Germany was a skip who made a game of it each time out. Kiesel had 3 years of international experience, and it showed in the action at Aviemore. Playing with him this year were 3 youngsters from Garmisch-Partenkirchen, who proved that living 300 miles away from your skip is not a serious drawback. They were 7th in Scotland with 4 wins and 5 defeats. One of the 2 teams that narrowly missed the playoffs was the American quartet from Grand Forks, North Dakota. It was composed of a double combination of brothers, Don and Earl Barkham and Dale and Gary Mueller. Earl Barkham, at 15, was the youngest curler at Aviemore. They whipped the defending champions from Sweden and carried Norway into an extra end before losing. Their record, 5-4. Tied with the U.S. entry was the foursome from France, skipped by a popular little pepper pot named Claude Fage. The young Frenchmen not only curled impressively, they looked good doing it. They threw their stones well, and their sweeping skill with the North American broom was a treat to behold. With 2 rounds to go, they were 5-2, but they lost their playoff bid by dropping a pair of 5-4 decisions to Scotland and Switzerland. After winning his first 2 games, Ullsten of Sweden rather shockingly went into a nosedive and lost 3 in a row. Their playoff chances looked bleak, but quickly Sweden turned it around, and the defending champions won their last 4 games to grab the final berth with a mark of 6-3. In his final junior year, Ullsten wasn't about to relinquish his crown without a battle. As usual, the Canadian threat was known to be genuine. Paul Gowsell's rink from Calgary had dedicated itself to the challenge of Aviemore since winning the schoolboy title the previous March. In preparation, the team curled nearly 150 games, at times against the competitive best in Alberta and Western Canada. In the preliminaries, they lost to Scotland and Norway, both games on Sheet B, which seemed to have Gowsell mystified. But the Canadians were sharp on the other surfaces and qualified for the playoffs with 7-2. With a chance to win a world championship at home in the glorious Heelands, Scotland came forth with a superb young crew from Glasgow. Robert Kelly and company had deliveries that were right out of the modern curling textbook. They looked like possible winners, even when losing their first 2 starts to Norway and Sweden. Then the Scots trimmed Canada 8-4, and Kelly was on his way to 7 straight victories. Norway also went 7-2 in the round robin, but earned the first place position by virtue of wins over Scotland and Canada. Morten Segode threw 4th stone, though the team was skipped by Sjur Lewin, the little fellow in the silver broom at Bern, who must have grown a foot in the 2 years since. Another Norwegian difference saw 3 of them using brooms, while Hans Beckland stuck to the brush. Attending an international curling event usually offers a sidelight or 2, and many of the visitors had to see for themselves why the Scots have a worldwide reputation in another pursuit. They saw the magical process, the production of the pure malt whiskey that makes for the beverage that warms the cockles of many a heart round the globe. And there's no validation to the claim that some of the guests disappeared during the course of this tour, but it's safe to say that before it was over, many of them got into the spirit of the thing. But back to the main business at hand and the playoffs, with Norway meeting Sweden, while 2 sheets over, Canada was engaging Scotland. Norway had been one-sided victors over their Swedish neighbors in the preliminary round, but this was to be a different story. Ullsten scored singles on the first 2 ends, and here on the 3rd, he placed to protect another counter with his last stone. Jan doesn't need any sweeping help until the final stages, and he sets up a pair in the 4-foot circle. Norway's Segode then goes for a double takeout. But his outturn doesn't come up enough. He removes only the front stone, and Sweden has stolen another point for a 3-0 lead. Meanwhile, it's 1-1 after 2 ends in the Canada-Scotland game. With last stone against him, Scotland's Kelly is faced with a difficult come-around shot to a Canadian stone at the rear of the house. He's a shade heavy, though, and if anything, it floats out coming up to the house. Neil Houston of Canada brushes it gently through the rings, and Gowsell has a chance for a 2-point jump. And in situations like this, the Calgary skip was to be a fine opportunist. He used that tricky outturn.
Need some help. Look around, look around.
And after 3 ends of play, it was 3-1 for Canada. Back in the all-Scandinavian semifinal, Norway mounted its first real threat on the fifth end. After blanking the fourth, it was still 3-0 Sweden, but Norway had set up 3 in the rings with 2 stones to come. Ullsten went for a double takeout, but succeeded only in peeling off the front Norwegian stone. So there it was, the big chance for Norway to score a triple, with a free draw to the house for Morten Søgaard. But the sweepers jump on this one far too late. They lose this all-important counter. It digs in and stops well short of the house. Norway scores only a deuce, and Sweden retains the upper hand with a 3-2 lead. It was the same kind of untimely miss that hurt Scotland's chances. On the 6th, the Scots had the shot stone buried behind a corner guard, and Gowsell wrecked on it with his first stone. That gave Kelly the opportunity to set up 2 counters, and he went for it with the in-turn draw. The score was 3-2 at this point for Canada, after Scotland had picked up 1 on the fifth end. The ice at Aviemore was lightning quick all week, which might have led to the misjudgment in sweeping. The Scots are late with the brushes on this one, and though Kelly bites the front ring, he's only in for third shot. Gowsell thus has another go at the counter. And if he can stick, it'll be worth a couple of points for Canada.
Yeah, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
Gowsell removes the Scotland stone, passing it by his second shot at the rear, and Ken Horton can't roll him out of the rings. It's 2 more for Canada and a 5-2 lead after 6 ends. The crusher in both semifinals came on the 7th. Here's the shot that spelled defeat for Norway. Søgaard tries a raise with Sweden lying 3. But he's heavy, and Ullsten goes on to score a 4-ender. And it's all over after 8 ends, 8-2 for Sweden. Scotland's fate was similar. Canada had 3 counters, and with Kelly's first stone on the 7th, he failed to get his attempted freeze. Gowsell still was lying 3, and now had his chance to plug the front of the house. And he gets it into perfect position, now lying 4 with Kelly's last stone to come. Horton gave his skip the ice for the outturn, and the attempt to draw through a very narrow port on the center line.
Come on, Ken, slow stone.
But Willie Jameson and Keith Douglas can't do much with it. Kelly wrecks on the front, and there's obvious disappointment for Scottish fans as Canada counts a big 4. They played 2 more ends, but it didn't alter the outcome. It was Canada winning 11-3. Scotland is full of history, of course, and before the big final battle on the ice, some of the curlers learned about the aftermath of a very famous battle out of the Scottish past.
Guys from Culloden came round here and they surrounded the castle and they recaptured it and it was burnt down. And it's been like this since 1745. This was the main barracks round here with the ramparts, which are more or less demolished now. And round at the back, which you may see later, are the stables where they kept their horses.
What happened to the castle?
The original castle was taken by the English. They were holding this and they only left a small garrison here during the Battle of Culloden. And the survivors from Culloden, on their way back surrounded the castle and recaptured it and burnt it down. And it's been like that ever since. That was in 1745.
But now it's February 1976, and the skirl of the pipes and the sound of the drums is the summons to the Aviemore ice rink. It's the World Junior Curling Final, Sweden versus Canada, and this will be the showdown with fans and officials moving in to watch it. The all-important coin toss. And last rock on the first end goes to Sweden. And that first end turned out to be a vital factor in the eventual result. Very quickly, the Swedes were in trouble. Canada was lying 3 as Ullsten delivered his first stone. His outturn removes the front Canadian stone, and Gowsell heads back to replace it. They're playing on sheet B, the one that gave the Canadians all the trouble in the round robin. But early in this one, Gowsell indicates he knows what it's doing. Watch his outturn guard attempt.
Don't let her back, let her back.
A really perfect cover, biting the 12-foot ring. Ullsten has no choice. He has to try for a draw to the 4-foot circle. And here's his final stone of the first end. But he's far too heavy, and rather fortunately pushes out a Canadian stone before sliding on through the rings. Canada gets the jump with a 2-ender. Sweden came back with a single on the second, and the third and fourth ends were blank. Now it's the 5th, and Ullsten, without last rock, will try to raise a front counter. The outturn release. And note the very keen surface they had for this World Junior Curling Final. He's there. A gentle bump back to the edge of the 4-foot circle, and now Gowsell is under pressure, facing 2 Swedish counters. The Calgary skip tries to come around the front guard with a quiet in-turn takeout. But his stone hangs out and rolls out of the house after hitting the shot stone. A 1-point steal for Sweden and a 2-all tie after 5 ends. They blanked end number 6, and then a very dicey situation developed on the 7th. With Gowsell's last rock to come, it was debatable who was shot at the rear of the house. The Canadian skip knew he had to be there anyway with this outturn.
He's it. Help. No.
Gowsell really wanted to get back to the Swedish stone at the rear of the house, but he's in for a certain single. They measure for second shot, and that decision goes to Sweden, leaving a 3-2 score in Canada's favor. The 8th then didn't change the picture. It was another blank. But on the 9th, Canada was lying 2 and hoping to force Sweden to take a single in order to have the hammer on the 10th and final end. Ullsten changed that outlook with a perfect double kill with his first stone on the 9th. Now it was up to Gowsell to stick with his last stone of the end. And at this stage, every rock was just so crucial. But he's right there, on the nose. And it's Ullsten's turn with the blank end, very much the target for Sweden now. And here's another judgment mistake on the sweeping. The Swedes didn't get on it soon enough, and Ullsten's stone, after removing the Canadian rock, hangs in the house. So it's all tied up, 3 points apiece. But the all-important last stone belongs to Canada going home. With skip rocks to come, Canada had a single counter with a corner guard offering very slight cover. This was one of the trickiest areas of Sheet B with a big kickback. So Ullsten tried the in-turn, hoping to back in for a freeze against the Canadian stone. But he's short and rubs into the house off the guard, but just for second shot. For Canada now, there's no hesitation. Gowsell wants to split the house. He'll play the in-turn draw to the open side.
Right up, right up. Come on! Sure? Yeah, positive, now go! Hey! Come on it! Right up, right up, right up, right up, right up! Go! Go, go, go!
And the applause is well deserved. Canada lies two and in almost perfect position. The big decision facing Sweden was whether to play for a tapback on the shot stone or to try a hit and roll across the house. They go for the hit. And this is for all the marbles. The sweepers are on it right away. But Ullsten is that shade narrow, and his stone rolls the wrong way. And it's over. Canada has won the Uniroyal World Junior Curling Championship. A 4-3 victory, and it's mission accomplished for the Canadian team from Calgary. Congratulations all around from teammates and then from Paul's father. And now, what 4 young men from Calgary have worked so hard to attain, that moment of glory. Claude Allard, president of Uniroyal Limited, is there to present the symbol of World Junior Curling supremacy. The first such title for Canada, and the first Canadian international victory since Orest Melischuk won the silver broom at Garmisch in '72. And then the individual spoils, the gold medals, to Paul Gowsell, the skip. To Neil Ullsten, the third. And to Glenn Jackson, the second. And finally, to Kelly Stern, the lead on the World Junior Curling Champions. David Duncan, the president of the Royal Caledonian Curling Club, has the silver medals for Sweden. To skip Jan Ullsten. And third, Anders Gran. And to the Swedish front end of Mats Nyberg and Bo Soderstrom. ICF President Coley Campbell does the honors with the bronze medals for Norway to Sjur Lewin and to Morten Sagode, to Hans Beckland, and finally to the lead, Roar Risa. Then the lowering of the Uniroyal banner and the close of the '76 championship in Aviemore, Scotland. The third World Junior Curling Championship will be held in Quebec City in 1977. And on behalf of the Quebec Committee, Pierre Greco accepted the banner for safekeeping until the juniors take to the ice again.